Did you know that one simple food habit could suddenly accelerate liver damage even if you feel totally fine? If you're dealing with a fatty liver, avoiding these wrong foods might be just as critical as embracing the right ones. Let's start by defining what we are talking about. Fatty liver disease most commonly refers to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, now often called metabolic dysfunction, associated steatotic liver disease. It occurs when too much fat accumulates inside your liver cells, more than about 5% in people who don't drink excessive alcohol. Over time, that fat can cause inflammation, scarring, and eventually serious liver damage. So, your diet isn't just a nice to have. It's essential battlefield. Let's look at the 5 worst food you must reduce or avoid if you want to slow or reverse fatty liver progression. Sugary sodas, fruit juices with added sugar, sweetened iced tea, energy drinks, and even diet soda, which often have metabolic effects. The liver is the main organ that processes fructose. When you drink sugar-sweetened drinks, you will load the liver's capacity. Excessive fructose is converted into triglycerides, stored in the liver cells, and it triggers insulin resistance and inflammation. Over time, this leads to greater fat accumulation, steatosis, oxidative stress, inflammation, and progression to non-NASH or fibrosis. Observational data show that higher intake of a sugar-sweetened beverage is associated with the increased prevalence of the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Ultra-processed foods, including sugary drinks, are also correlated with a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease risk. What is it? White bread, pastries, many breakfast cereals, white rice, pastries, cookies, refined cakes. Why it's harmful? These foods break down rapidly into glucose. The spikes in the blood sugar triggers instant release. Chronic high insulin forces the liver convert more sugar into a stored fat via de novo lipogenesis. What happens if ignored? Over time, insulin resistance worsens, fat deposition in the liver increases, and the metabolic dysfunction builds. Evidence: dietary reviews of a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease highlighted that beyond total calories, the quality of the carbohydrates matters. Diets high in the refined carbs worsen insulin sensitivity and the liver fat compared to low glycemic and whole food carb diets. Meta-analysis suggests that high caloric intake and a poor carbohydrate composition are linked to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease risk. What is it? Fatty cuts of a red meat, especially processed versions like sausages, bacon, butter, lard, margarine, and industrial hydrogenated fats. Why it's harmful? Saturated fats and trans fat can be more lipotoxic. They damage liver mitochondria, promote inflammation, and make fat metabolism less efficient. They also worsen insulin resistance. What happens if ignored? These fats accelerate the shift from simple fat accumulation to inflammatory damage. They promote fibrosis and cell injury in the liver. Evidence: human studies show that saturated fats are more metabolically harmful to the liver than unsaturated fats or simple sugars. Nutritional guidelines recommended that reducing saturated and trans fat intake in a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, replacing saturated fats via monounsaturated fats, olive oil, nuts, improves liver outcomes. Red and processed meats consumption is linked to higher non-alcoholic fatty liver disease incidence. What it is: packaged chips, fast food items, deep fried snacks, packaged instant meals, sugary breakfast bars, all heavily processed. Why it's harmful? These foods are often high in refined carbs, bad fats, additives, salt, and artificial sweeteners. They also promote overconsumption, palatability. The metabolic load triggers fat deposition, inflammation, and a gut barrier disruption, and adverse metabolic stimuli. What happens if ignored? Regular ultra-processed food consumption fosters obesity, metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, and elevated liver fat. Evidence: a systematic review found that ultra-processed food intake is associated with a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, obesity, and a metabolic syndrome. Dietary guidelines for a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease emphasize exclusion of processed foods and the foods high in added fructose. What it is. Beer, wine. Even moderate consumption in susceptible individuals can be harmful. Why it's harmful? Alcohol metabolism in the liver generates toxic byproducts, acetaldehyde, reactive oxygen species. It disrupts fat metabolism, delivers, drives lipogenesis, and promotes inflammatory injury. What happens if ignored? Alcoholic fatty liver can coexist or exacerbate non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Chronic drinking can lead to steatohepatitis, fibrosis, cirrhosis, and liver failure. Evidence: while non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is defined in the non-heavy drinkers, many guidelines urge caution or abstinence, even in the metabolic fatty liver, since alcoholic adds additional heat on the top of a metabolic stress. Many reviews of a fatty liver diet forbid alcohol or significantly restrict it. Let's shift to positive action. Here are evidence-based, safe, actionable strategies you can implement. Adapt a Mediterranean or MUFA-rich diet. Why it works? The Mediterranean diet is rich of monounsaturated fat, olive oil, nuts, fiber, antioxidant, and low in saturated fat. It reduces oxidative stress, inflammation, and improves insulin sensitivity. Intervention trial and reviews showed that adapting a Mediterranean style or a hypocaloric diet helps reduce liver fat and improves markers in a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease patient. Always consult your healthcare providers before drastically altering your diet, especially if you have other medical conditions or medications. So, is collagen worth it? If you are healthy, over 30, and wants to support skin or joint health, hydrolyzed collagen might help. Modestly, choose products tested by third parties. Stick to moderate doses and combine with the healthy habits: sunscreen, balanced diet, regular exercise, and quitting smoking. But if you are hoping for dramatic transformations, science doesn't back that up. Collagen is not a miracle cure, it's a tool, one part of the bigger lifestyle puzzle. And before starting any new supplement, talk to your doctor, especially if you are pregnant, have a kidney disease, or food allergies.